In the stillness of night, whispers echo where people no longer walk, where shadows remember what history forgot. These are the stories of the places where the veil thins. This is the truth behind the Haunting Podcast. Located just outside of Berlin lies the Beelitz Sanatorium, a sprawling complex of abandoned buildings that were once used to treat tuberculosis patients in the early 20th century. Today, this site is infamous not only for its historical significance, but also for the ghosts and paranormal activity that are said to haunt its decaying halls. The Beelitz Sanatoriums, which opened in 1902, were considered state-of-the-art medical facilities at the time, offering cutting-edge treatment to those suffering from tuberculosis. During both World War I and World War II, the sanatorium was repurposed, first as a military hospital for German soldiers, and later as a Soviet hospital after the war. Over the decades, the buildings fell into disrepair, and by the 1990s they were abandoned entirely. However, the site remains a focal point for urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and those intrigued by its dark past. The Beelitz Sanatoriums were originally designed to house tuberculosis patients who would receive treatments such as fresh air therapy and specialized diets. With its vast network of neatly organized buildings, this sanatorium complex was considered a beacon of hope for the suffering patients. However, despite the medical advancements at the time, tuberculosis remained a deadly disease, and many patients succumbed to their illness. During World War I, Beelitz was converted into a military hospital, where soldiers from the front lines were treated for a range of injuries. In the years that followed, the sanatorium would continue to treat a mix of civilian patients and military personnel. World War II saw the complex serve as a Soviet military hospital after the defeat of Nazi Germany, with the site continuing to house soldiers until the 1990s, when it was abandoned after the fall of the Berlin Wall. The sanatorium's history is filled with accounts of death, disease, warfare, and suffering, which has left an indelible mark on its buildings. The emotional weight of these events, combined with the physical toll taken on the structures over time, has contributed to the haunted reputation that Beelitz Sanatorium has today. With such a tumultuous and tragic history, it is no surprise that Beelitz Sanatorium has gained a reputation for being haunted. Those who have dared to explore the abandoned site often report a wide range of paranormal activity. One of the most frequently reported phenomena at Beelitz Sanatorium is the appearance of ghostly apparitions. Witnesses have described seeing soldiers in World War I-era uniforms wandering the hallways of the sanatorium, as well as patients in hospital gowns, walking aimlessly through the abandoned rooms. The soldiers are often seen near the hospital wards, while the patients appear to be drifting through the corridors, their faces expressionless and their movements slow and eerie. Some have even reported encountering disembodied voices or hearing soft whispers in the empty hallways, which add to the unsettling atmosphere of the sanatorium. The stories of these apparitions suggest that the spirits of those who once suffered or died within the complex continue to haunt the site. Perhaps the most famous ghost to haunt Beelitz is that of a nurse who is said to roam the halls of the abandoned sanatorium. Witnesses have described seeing a woman in white, believed to be a nurse from the days when the hospital was operational. Some speculate that this nurse may have been a victim of the diseases that ravaged the patients, or that she died while caring for them. Her apparition is often seen in the operating rooms or nurses' quarters, and some accounts report her presence is accompanied by a cold breeze or an overwhelming sense of sadness. This ghostly figure is said to have a compassionate yet sorrowful aura, as if she is still trying to care for the patients she once tended to, even in death. Many visitors to Beelitz Sanatorium have reported the eerie sensation of being watched. Some have even seen shadowy figures darting in and out of doorways or passing by windows, only to disappear when approached. These figures are often described as being human-shaped shadows that don't appear to have distinct features. Another disturbing occurrence involves the sounds of footsteps echoing through the deserted halls. Visitors often hear the sound of footsteps walking behind them, but when they turn around, no one is there. These sounds are particularly common in the darkened hallways and unlit rooms, where the spirits seem to be the most active. One of the more peculiar paranormal phenomena associated with Beelitz Sanatorium is the sudden, unexplained scent of flowers. Many visitors have reported smelling faint floral scents in areas that were once the grounds for the sanatorium. Some believe that the scent is tied to the spirit of a former patient or a nurse who had a particular fondness for flowers in life. The flower's scent is said to come and go suddenly, leaving behind a lingering sense of nostalgia or longing. In the cold, decaying air of the abandoned sanatorium, this floral smell stands in stark contrast to the death and disease that once filled the halls. For those brave enough to visit, Beelitz Sanatorium offers a chilling glimpse into a tragic past, where the boundaries between the living and the dead are said to blur. In the Swedish countryside, Norr's Castle is a picturesque estate with a history dating back to the 17th century. While it is now known as a luxury hotel and conference centre, whispers of ghostly apparitions, eerie sounds, and strange happenings have surrounded the castle for centuries. Many believe that one particular spirit still lingers within its walls, an entity that refuses to leave, tied to the castle by tragedy and unfinished business. Built in the 1660s, Norr's Castle was originally commissioned by Gustav Otto Stenbock, a high-ranking noble in Sweden. Over the years, the castle changed hands several times, hosting prominent figures, aristocrats, and even military leaders. Despite its beauty and grandeur, dark tales and misfortune have always seemed to shadow the estate. While the castle itself has been well preserved, its past remains shrouded in mystery, with rumours of untimely deaths, hidden chambers, and tragic stories woven into its history. Some say these tales have left a spiritual imprint, manifesting in the form of the castle's infamous ghost. One of the most well-known spectral legends tied to Norr's Castle is that of a sorrowful woman in white. Witnesses have reported seeing a ghostly female figure wandering the corridors, particularly near the upper floors and grand staircase. According to local folklore, she is believed to be a former noblewoman who met a tragic fate within the castle walls. Some versions of the story claim she was betrayed by a lover, while others suggest she was a victim of a family dispute, locked away in one of the castle's hidden rooms. Guests and staff have described chilling encounters, including sudden cold drafts, even when windows are closed, soft weeping and whispers in the dead of night, doors creaking open and slamming shut on their own, unexplained shadows appearing in photographs. Some have even reported the unsettling feeling of being watched when alone in certain parts of the castle. While the entire castle has an eerie atmosphere after dark, some rooms are said to be particularly haunted. The grand staircase, the lady in white is frequently seen descending these steps before vanishing, the attic and upper floors. Staff have reported hearing footsteps and whispering, even when no one is there. The garden path. Some visitors claim to have seen a shadowy figure moving among the trees, disappearing upon approach. Ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts have attempted to capture evidence of these hauntings, with some reporting unusual electronic voice phenomena, EVP, and sudden drops in temperature in certain rooms. Despite its ghostly reputation, Norr's Castle is now a popular retreat for visitors seeking a peaceful countryside escape. However, many guests leave with chilling tales of their own, from objects moving on their own to strange figures appearing in mirrors. While some dismiss the ghost stories as imagination or folklore, others insist that the spirit of Norr's Castle is very real. Whether it is the lady in white or another lingering presence, one thing is certain: something unseen still walks the halls of this historic estate. In the heart of Copenhagen, surrounded by peaceful gardens and regal statues, Rosenborg Castle is a beloved Danish landmark. Built in the early 17th century by King Christian IV as a royal retreat, this Renaissance jewel now serves as a museum of Denmark's royal treasures. But beneath its opulent surface lies a layer of darker, lesser-known history stories, of spectral sightings, strange sensations, and lingering presences that suggest Rosenborg may be home to more than just crowns and jewels. Rosenborg Castle was completed in 1606 and quickly became the favoured residence of King Christian IV, one of Denmark's most ambitious and enigmatic monarchs. The castle remained in use as a royal residence until around 1710, and since then its echoing halls have witnessed everything from royal births to quiet deaths. Like many buildings of great age and grandeur, Rosenborg has long been suspected of hosting spirits of the past. While not as overtly haunted as some of Denmark's more remote castles, tales of paranormal activity have quietly persisted for generations, whispered among night guards, tour guides, and visitors. The most frequently reported apparition is none other than King Christian IV himself. Known for his flamboyant lifestyle, multiple wars, and eventual downfall, Christian IV left an indelible mark on Denmark, and some say on the castle he adored. Several witnesses have claimed to see the shadowy figure of a man dressed in 17th century garb, wandering near the king's former chambers, or gazing solemnly at the crown jewels. Sometimes described as sorrowful, other times simply watchful, the presence is often linked to Christian's later years, which were marked by personal tragedy and the loss of power. Staff have reported hearing faint footsteps echoing in rooms closed to the public, as well as the sound of heavy boots pacing late at night, always near areas associated with the king's personal life. One of the castle's most iconic rooms, the Long Hall, a grand gallery filled with portraits, weapons, and thrones, has its own tales of unexplained events. Visitors have spoken of cold spots, odd gusts of wind, and even brief glimpses of ghostly figures disappearing behind tapestries or vanishing as they move across the room's polished floors. Some suggest the ghost of a royal guard, who reportedly died while on duty, still patrols this ceremonial space. His silent presence is often accompanied by the subtle scent of gunpowder or the rustle of a cape. While many of Rosenborg's ghost stories are subtle, the castle's energy can be surprisingly intense. Tour guides have noted that animals, particularly dogs, sometimes refuse to enter certain rooms, barking at what seems like empty air. Others have reported being suddenly overcome with emotion in areas associated with death or political betrayal. The treasury, which houses Denmark's royal regalia, is particularly active. Some visitors have claimed to feel a strange pressure in the air or the sensation of being watched, as though unseen eyes were guarding the priceless artifacts. Rosenborg Castle may not boast the dramatic hauntings of crumbling fortresses or storm-battered ruins, but its ghosts are woven deeply into the fabric of its royal history. They are quiet, dignified, and just a little tragic, fitting echoes for a place that once held the dreams and sorrows of kings. Whether you're a history lover, a paranormal enthusiast, or a curious traveler, Rosenborg offers more than just opulence and beauty. Beneath the gold leaf and grand portraits, the spirits of the past may still be wandering, watching over the treasures they once held dear. Would you walk the halls of Rosenborg alone after dark? Deep in the heart of Rajasthan, India, lies the infamous Bhangarh Fort, a place so haunted that entry after sunset is strictly forbidden by the government. Built in the 16th century by Raja Bhagwant Das, this once thriving settlement is now an abandoned ruin shrouded in mystery, ghostly whispers, and chilling legends. Many who have dared to visit after dark report eerie apparitions, unexplained sounds, and an overwhelming sense of dread. But what makes Bhangarh Fort so terrifying? Two primary legends explain why Bhangarh is believed to be haunted. First is the curse of the Tantric. According to local folklore, a powerful sorcerer, Tantric, named Singya, fell in love with Princess Ratnavati, the beautiful daughter of Chatur Singh, the ruler of Bhangarh. Knowing she was beyond his reach, Singya attempted to use black magic to make her fall in love with him. He enchanted a bottle of perfume, hoping that if the princess used it, she would be under his spell. However, Ratnavati saw through his plan and threw the bottle away, causing it to break against a boulder. The magic backfired, and the boulder rolled onto the tantric, crushing him to death. Before dying, Singya cursed Bhangarh, dooming it to destruction and ensuring that no one could ever live there in peace. Soon after, a war broke out between Bhangarh and a neighboring kingdom, leading to the complete annihilation of its people. The second is the saint's warning. This legend states that a holy man named Guru Balu Nath lived in the area before the fort was built. He granted permission for its construction, but warned that the fort's shadows must never fall on his home. The king ignored this warning, and as soon as the fort's shadow touched the saint's dwelling, he cursed the land, leading to the town's downfall. Visitors to Bhangarh Fort have reported unsettling experiences, including disembodied voices and screams. As night falls, people hear whispering, crying, and even laughter echoing through the ruins. Shadowy apparitions. Many claim to have seen ghostly figures moving between the crumbling buildings. Unexplained temperature drops. The air around certain spots turns icy cold, even on the hottest days. Feeling of being watched. Visitors often feel an eerie presence, as if unseen eyes are following them. Mysterious disappearances and deaths. Some thrill seekers who ventured into the fort after dark have allegedly never returned. Due to the numerous paranormal reports, the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, has placed warning signs at the entrance of Bhangarh Fort, strictly prohibiting entry between sunset and sunrise. Locals strongly advise against staying after dark, believing that those who do never make it out alive. Skeptics argue that the eerie atmosphere and haunting legends are a result of psychological fear and natural sounds from the wind and animals. However, countless stories, first-hand accounts, and strange occurrences continue to fuel its reputation as India's most haunted place. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, Bhangarh Fort remains a chilling destination that leaves an unforgettable mark on anyone who dares to visit. Poveglia Island, situated just off the coast of Venice, Italy, has long been shrouded in mystery and tragedy. Often referred to as one of the most haunted places in the world, Poveglia is notorious for its dark history, which includes its use as a quarantine station for the plague, a mental asylum, and a place of death and suffering. The ghosts of Poveglia are said to roam its desolate grounds, with numerous accounts of paranormal activity reported by those brave enough to venture onto the island. Whether it's the tormented souls of plague victims or the tragic history of the asylum, Poveglia remains an eerie symbol of death, decay, and the supernatural. Poveglia Island's history dates back to the 5th century, when it was first inhabited by people seeking refuge from invaders in mainland Italy. Over time, the island's population grew, and it was used for various purposes, but it is most infamous for its role in dealing with the plague and as a mental asylum. During the plague outbreaks of the 18th and 19th centuries, Poveglia became a quarantine station for the sick and dying. The island was used to isolate those believed to be infected with the bubonic plague, with thousands of people sent there to await certain death. It is said that many of these individuals perished on the island, either from the disease or from the harsh conditions of isolation. Later, in the early 20th century, the island became home to a mental asylum, where patients were subjected to cruel treatments, including lobotomies. The dark, disturbing history of human suffering at the hands of both the plague and the asylum would forever haunt Poveglia Island. One of the most persistent legends associated with Poveglia Island is that of the plague victims who perished there. It is estimated that tens of thousands of people died on the island, their bodies either cremated or buried in mass graves. Many believe that the restless spirits of these plague-ridden souls still haunt the island, unable to find peace. Visitors and paranormal investigators have reported hearing the sound of anguished wailing and moans of pain emanating from the island's abandoned buildings. The air is said to be thick with an oppressive energy, and some claim to have seen shadowy figures moving in the corners of their vision, vanishing when they turn to look. Others have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread as they step onto the island, as though the very ground is soaked with the suffering of those who died there. Perhaps the most chilling legend surrounding Poveglia is the tale of the asylum doctor, who is said to haunt the island. According to local law, the doctor was a cruel and sadistic figure who performed lobotomies on the patients of the mental asylum. It is believed that he grew increasingly unhinged during his time on the island, and eventually he was driven to madness. The legend states that the doctor ended his own life by jumping from the bell tower of the asylum, but many believe that his spirit has never left. Paranormal investigators and visitors to Poveglia have reported strange occurrences near the bell tower, such as cold spots, the sound of footsteps, and the distinct feeling of being watched. Some have even claimed to hear the eerie sound of a bell tolling, though the bell hasn't been rung in years. The ghost of the asylum doctor is said to still roam the grounds, possibly seeking redemption for the suffering he inflicted on his patients. One of the most terrifying aspects of Poveglia Island is the persistent reports of shadowy figures that move across the island's abandoned structures. These apparitions are said to be the spirits of those who died there, both from the plague and the cruel treatments at the asylum. Witnesses have described seeing tall, dark shapes that move in a quick, unsettling manner, often just out of sight, only to disappear when approached. These figures are often seen near the ruins of the old hospital, where the worst suffering occurred. Some visitors report feeling an eerie presence surrounding them as they explore the buildings, with the feeling that the figures are watching them from the shadows. The shadows are said to have a malevolent energy, and some claim that they can feel the temperature drop dramatically when they are near. Another commonly reported phenomenon on Poveglia Island is the sound of voices. Visitors and paranormal investigators have claimed to hear whispers, screams, and muffled conversations coming from empty rooms or overgrown paths. These voices are believed to belong to the many souls who died in the quarantine station and asylum, their agony echoing across the island. The most chilling accounts involve disembodied voices that call out for help or cry in anguish. Some say they have heard the voices of children who perished on the island, their cries for mercy still lingering in the air. Others have reported hearing distinct conversations between unseen individuals, though no one else is present. In addition to the disembodied voices, many people who have ventured to Poveglia Island have reported hearing the distinct sound of chains dragging across the ground. This eerie noise is thought to be connected to the island's past as a place where people were isolated and imprisoned. In the 18th century, those believed to be infected with the plague were chained and left to die, and the sound of chains is believed to be the ghostly remnant of their suffering. The sound of chains has been heard near the old quarantine station and asylum buildings, particularly at night. It is said that those who hear the chains dragging feel an overwhelming sense of fear and are often compelled to leave the island immediately. Today, Poveglia Island is largely abandoned and off-limits to the public. The Italian government has placed strict restrictions on access to the island, primarily due to its unsafe conditions and its dark history. However, despite its eerie reputation, Poveglia remains a popular topic for paranormal investigators and ghost hunters, who continue to document the many strange occurrences and ghostly phenomena reported by those who have dared to visit. The ghosts of Poveglia Island, the tormented souls of the plague victims, the ghostly asylum doctor, and the shadowy figures remain a part of its tragic history. Whether they are trapped in the island's past or seeking to make their presence known, their stories have captivated the imaginations of many. Poveglia will always be a place of mystery, where death and the supernatural continue to intertwine. Thanks for joining us on the Truth Behind the Haunting podcast. If you enjoyed our journey into the supernatural, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow ghost seekers. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and stay aware of what moves in the shadows.